Luxury is not for the rich. Luxury is for people who are poor that want to look rich, and nobody knows this better than the beauty industry. There are specifically 3 tactics that they use to get people to continuously spend money, and they have fundamentally changed what luxury actually means when we talk about it. Think about that one brand name thing that you saved up so much for. You wanted it so badly, you thought about it all the time, you saved, and maybe it was a piece of clothing. Maybe it was a handbag, or maybe it was some other unique collector or designer item. Truthfully, how often do you use it? Is it something that just sits in a closet or on a shelf? Or is it something that you actually use and extrapolate joy from every single day? And I specifically want to know the answer from those who have had this item for more than a year. Please leave it in the comments. Many people dream about, work towards, and purchase luxury items just to feel like they don't want to ruin them or don't want to mess them up. And I feel like I know this better than anyone else because this was me. I grew up with a family that didn't have a lot of money. We lived in a nice neighborhood, but all of our couches were literally hand-me-downs from Craigslist and had like other people's stains on them. And I remember going to high school and seeing everyone get new cars for their birthdays when I had to drive a car that was my grandparents' hand-me-down and literally had gas prices scribbled on a notepad back from the 1950s. And at the time, I thought that all I had to offer was my image. Because I had acne that had taken over my face, chest, and back, I thought, well, if no one's gonna like me because I'm ugly and unattractive, at least I could pretend to be rich, because that's what bought value, right? And at the time in high school, the designer brands were things like Victoria's Secret Pink, where it had the words P-I-N-K along the butt, even though the pants were blue, or the 7 for All Mankind or True Religion jeans, but then they would have that BMW or Mercedes key in the pocket. And because I didn't have money, and in high school I didn't have a job, I had an issue with shoplifting that I heavily regret. And outside of that issue, I ended up buying things from eBay and thrift stores that were designer or brand name, just because that's what I thought I had to do to fit in. And this is what luxury brands prey upon. The human psychology of us wanting to fit in. Thinking that if we can impress someone else with this outfit or this Burberry scarf, that maybe we'll be accepted into society, maybe people will like us, because we are social creatures who came from tribal backgrounds at the end of the day. It's human to want to be accepted, or to want to be liked, or to want to get along with others. And throughout human history, that was actually necessary for survival. Could you imagine, in the cavemen group, the one person who was shunned out? They wouldn't survive very long. So it's normal for us to want to be a part of a group. But luxury brands often play on this, which is why the luxury branding is so strong. And of course you've seen that if you're a Ferrari versus Lamborghini person, or a Dior versus Chanel bag holder. But how does this play out in the beauty industry? And how has the term luxury changed so much over time? Well, when we think of the word luxury, we often think of prestige, of craftsmanship. People are willing to shell out vast amounts of money for something that was handmade or has a story or something wonderful behind it. But recently, luxury has become a little bit more flashy, a little bit more tacky. We're not just talking about the Louis Vuitton logos or the Balenciaga sprawled across somebody's sweatshirt. Think about the makeup and the cosmetics, the skincare, the beauty brands that are creating colognes and perfumes that start to change color or start to go bad after a little while. Or the Dior eyeshadows that are chalky, the lipsticks that are patchy, yet we pay hundreds of dollars for them. Not to mention the seasonal products these brands launch, not even to have them go on sale later, but for them to actually burn and destroy. Yes, this happens in fashion, like when Burberry burned their clothing, but it also happens in beauty, because these brands don't want to be seen on sale. Because remember, they're trying to get you to believe that they are so exclusive that they are worth paying up for. Well, luxury is not the same as expensive, and I not only had to learn that the hard way when I was trying to purchase these items to be a part of a cool group, and it didn't buy me popularity. All it did was get me into $80,000 worth of credit card debt, and it made me realize that once I had this nice thing, I would keep it on the shelf this entire time because I was afraid of using it or ruining it. And then there was just something else that was being produced that I had to have in order to keep up with the Joneses or the Kardashians who were always on TV. But luxury is not the same as expensive. You see, Obviously, medical bills are expensive, but we don't think of those as luxurious. Luxury is seen as that thing that is nearly unattainable, and this is heavily influenced by celebrity branding. And let's talk about celebrity branding, baby. But in order to understand celebrity branding, we have to talk about COGS, which are much less sexy. COGS stands for cost of goods sold, basically how much money it takes to create just the formula. And I also have experience with this firsthand because not only did I create a purple sunscreen with the brand Isntree this year, but I also failed at making my own skincare line over 5 years ago. We're not only talking about the raw materials, maybe the mica or the shimmer that goes into an eyeshadow, or leather or a textile that goes into a bag or a scarf, but we're also talking about the person who sews or stitches that item. We're talking about shipping it. We're talking about the design process. We're also talking about paying the electricity bills to keep the lights on, not to mention the celebrity endorsements that cost a pretty penny. But when it comes to the base price of cosmetics, that is usually 5 to 10 times less than what the brand ends up selling it for. But with luxury, you can exponentially multiply that. Some luxury beauty brands are charging 50 to 75 to 100x what it actually costs for them to make their products. And this isn't because the products are sourced anywhere specifically or that they are amazing craftsmanship, but they would have you think that because that's the story from a lot of these designer brands and designer lines, right? Well, unfortunately, just the way a lot of these designer clothing brands have been cutting corners on where they're getting their textiles and who's actually creating them and how much they're paying people overseas to sew these garments together, they're also cutting corners and taking many shortcuts when it comes to producing cosmetics. And unfortunately, most people who purchase a lot of these things don't know the differences. If you look at some luxury beauty products like a Dior oil or cleanser, you'll see that some of the most basic ingredients are being used and the sourcing doesn't seem that unique. Even for brands like Chanel, who have a special Camellia sinensis leaf oil that comes from a garden in France, well, that one ingredient is surrounded by a bunch of other things that are fine for the skin, but really cheap to make. And when we look at their advent calendars, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be that surprised, right? But at the end of the day, the COGS, the costs of goods sold to make that base product, they're quite similar. They're really nothing fancy or nothing special. And again, this kind of gets into the main issue that luxury has been facing. A lot of people are starting to look into and unravel the truth behind these luxury brands. These are no longer handmade or artisan made in most cases. They are becoming these items that are made through automation or being outsourced just the way other products are. And perhaps they don't fall apart in the wash as quickly as something like fast fashion from Shein or Forever 21 or Zara, but people have been starting to see the cracks in the luxury beauty industry and the fact that things just aren't being made the way they used to. Not to mention, look at all this flashy branding. Look at all these celebrity endorsements. It almost seems more important to have the logo being shown off than it does to have the actual true luxury, the craftsmanship, or the story of how this item was created. Of course, there are some brands that stand out for this, but the vast majority of luxury brands have actually gotten quite tacky. And while they don't want you to know this, it's quite obvious when you look into the ingredients and the sourcing and the manufacturing of their beauty products as well. Specifically in the skincare industry, ingredients that can help the skin are medically proven, and this really plays out with luxury skincare brands and products. When it comes to skin health, it's been medically proven that the same ingredients tend to work over and over again. If you have a condition like acne, you should look for these ingredients, or if you have hyperpigmentation on the skin, these are going to help. If you need hydration, a good moisturizer is probably going to have shea butter, ceramides, or caprylic triglyceride. We know that these things help, yet these luxury brands try to put a fancy package on the outside of very basic formulas that really are no different from a lot of the other cheap stuff that we see at drugstores. And yes, maybe they have 1 or 2 fragrances or scents or extracts in there to kind of bump up the price, but a lot of it is just this illusion of luxury to be a nice gift to give someone or something to sit on your shelf, or maybe something that you actually end up spraying, applying, or using. And when it comes into fragrances, there's a ton that goes into these luxury fragrances, not just the ones we spray, but the ones that are actually in the cleanser or the moisturizer. There's a reason that La Mer smells like La Mer, and there's a reason that Dior smells like Dior. There are such things as fragrance chemists that are actually paid and yes, contribute to the price of the product that custom formulate scent. Not something that's going to benefit your skin. If anything, this fragrance and this perfume could cause irritation to the skin and cause allergies over time, but these chemists are paid tons of money for their expertise to create a proprietary smell because scent is psychologically linked to memory. Luxury brands know this. And if you grew up smelling the La Mer that your mom or your grandma had that one time of year where she was lucky enough to get it as a gift, that is then ingrained into you. And you go chasing that thing, not just because it's luxury and a celebrity used it, but because of the nostalgia. And yes, their markup margins are huge. Now, if you enjoy that and you're okay paying the price, then no harm, no foul. The problem is that when a lot of luxury brands start to use psychological tricks like celebrity marketing or medical marketing on you and I. And this is the next thing that the luxury beauty industry does not want you to know. You see, historically, we look to doctors and medical professionals to tell us what is safe or healthy, and we look to celebrities to tell us what is in or trendy or cool. But I'm sure you may have noticed something weird has happened in the last century, from doctors promoting cigarettes.
According to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Or Nestle breast milk formula that is just powdered cow's milk and sugar.
Your baby's growing quickly, so it's no wonder that by the time he's 4 months, his calcium needs increase more than 50%. That's why there's Carnation Follow-Up, the formula with the extra calcium active babies need.
Or celebrities peddling crazy crypto scams.
This is Steph Curry, the world's leading expert on cryptocurrency.
I'm not an expert, and I don't need to be. With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely.
Or even creating their own lines, which are just overpackaged, overpriced versions of cheaper drugstore stuff, allegedly. Celebrities have started speaking about these luxury brands and the ingredients within them that doctors and medical professionals like, and they can't even pronounce the ingredients properly. They don't even know what's in them. And quite often, these luxury products or these celebrity products are just a marked up version of something way cheaper. And here's the thing about celebrity marketing. Most people don't know they get it for free. Celebrities in general aren't spending this kind of money on luxury products. Heck, the Kardashians even get Chanel encrusted car interiors for free. Is that even the right word, encrusted? Is it engraved? We all saw Kylie Jenner's Chanel car. They receive not only designer clothing and bags and shoes, but they also receive beauty products. And this is the entire world of PR, also called public relations. Brands literally hire what's called a PR company that has people who have jobs just to create connections with celebrities, to give them free product or paid promotion to get celebrities to talk about these designer things, these new inventions, or this old classic that everyone just needs to have on their shelf or spraying on the inside of their wrist. Many celebrities are seen holding up La Mer and how much they love it, but a lot of them don't even purchase it because they get it sent to them for free. Now, this isn't inherently bad. I'm sure you and I have both received gifts before, and I'm sure some celebrities actually like these things. But the issue is the psychological manipulation that is happening to you and I without our knowledge. And this is why it's so important for us to talk about, because we need to understand what's happening, what we're being fed, what we're being told by celebrities is cool or trendy, so that we can actually see what's going on behind the scenes and form our own decisions as to what we do or don't want to spend our money on. And if we do want to try something fancy and luxurious, okay, no problem. However, if we are just seeing a celebrity use this, claiming it makes them have this gorgeous skin and they love it so much, not knowing that they got this for free or have never bought a bottle of it in their life, we might think that that celebrity and how gorgeous and beautiful and put together they are is somebody that we want to emulate. We think that they're a trendsetter, they know all the cool things, and we need to buy the things they use and follow them to look just as good or just as cool, or to fit in with the other high schoolers. The way that I felt back when I was struggling with my acne, when I was buying hand-me-down Prada at the local consignment store on a credit card with money that I didn't have. Not to mention the trips. I'm sure we've all seen the influencers who go tripping with Tarte or on these lavish vacations to, is it to learn about these products or promote these products? Well, you bet that this happens in the luxury world. It's just much more secretive. Some people have posted their Dior dinners online, but best believe that this has been happening for decades. And behind the scenes, celebrities have been receiving this treatment for years. Free products, spa visits, even renting out penthouses in New York just to have people come to the top floors to get diamonds and precious jewelry handed to them, as well as skincare and beauty products that surprisingly they're then seen photographed wearing and using and reapplying in the back of a taxi cab. And this right here is where we have to go back to what I said earlier, where luxury is not made for the rich, it's made for the poor who want to look rich. I mean, look at this, the rich are getting it for free. There are 3 things that I consider tripod characteristics that I want to help break down so that you and I can see through this and to know when we're actually being manipulated to buy something luxury versus when we're putting money towards a brand or a story or an item that we genuinely want and like. There's exclusivity, there's high quality, and there's customer service. That exclusivity is again that idea that celebrities use this, nobody can get their hands on it. They create a fake sense of urgency or a fake sense of scarcity. Chanel could make way way more bags than they actually do, but they put a limit on it. So does Ferrari. They could make more cars, but they capped it to like 10,000 because if there's less of them, just by our nature, we want to get our hands on them, and that makes us want them more. The second is the quality, and this has secretly been decreasing over the years. I have no doubt that ages ago, when some of these brands like Hermes or Louis Vuitton started, and Dior, they were handcrafted, they were made with the best materials, the thickest materials. I mean, the average Dior dress had 20 yards of fabric and weighed a ton. But as the world has leaned towards globalization, and labor is much less expensive in countries like Bangladesh or the Philippines, very far away from where some of these French or Italian designer brands come from, it's no secret that they've started to outsource some of that labor. And yes, they still try to keep the quality high, or maybe higher than some other places, but there's still a lot to be questioned about not only working conditions, but the end product. And again, luxury brands are arguably doing a much better job than things like Shein or fast fashion or even Nike and Victoria's Secret, who have come under major fire for their human rights atrocities. But there is still this trend of decreasing the quality. But remember, as long as it's got a big logo and we can show it off on social media, doesn't really matter as much to the consumer anymore. And with everything in a capitalist economy, it's all about supply and demand. If people aren't demanding a higher quality product and all they care about is how good they look in that photo or that post or among their friends, there's not much of an incentive for these luxury brands to continue creating high quality pieces, both in fashion, but as well as in cosmetics. Because remember, if it's more important that you're taking out a YSL lipstick and its beautiful bulleted artistic bottle, it doesn't really matter what the formula is. It just matters that we can see that little CC on the back of a makeup compact when we're touching up our face. And lastly, customer service. Did you know that luxury brands purposefully hire snobby sales associates because people then associate the brand being worth more? Yes, there is psychology behind this. That if a sales associate is snobby and standoffish, people associate that brand as being more high status. And people who can actually afford luxury and the truly wealthy, the truly rich, do you think they're even going in to purchase these items? First off, if they're not getting these things sent to them for free, they probably have an assistant or a shopper, someone going in to buy it for them. This is again why much of the luxury industry is not made for the rich. It's made for the poor or the middle class who want to look rich. Now, some luxury brands are known for exceptional customer service. For example, being able to go in with a handbag that's years old and get it repaired for free, or the infamous Hermes waitlist, where you can't even buy a Birkin even if you do have the $20,000 or $30,000 for it. You have to wait on a waitlist or know a sales associate who can actually tell you about one once it's in stock. Well, how does customer service play out in the luxury beauty sector? You see, when we're purchasing luxury beauty, yes, we could go into kind of a flagship store, but often we're purchasing these things from a Sephora, from a Nordstrom, a Neiman Marcus, these department stores that have staff who stand behind the counter, but these staff are oftentimes hired by the store, not even by the brand themselves. Sometimes the luxury brand will send in a specific rep from their brand to be a salesperson, which kind of goes around the floor trying to tell people about the line or get them interested, but quite often, especially at cosmetic stores like Sephora, the Sephora employees are not employed by the luxury company. They are just employees of the store. And if you have an issue with your product, you're wondering why all these celebrities love this cream and it's just not working for you, good luck getting an answer. And it's usually because there are tons of markups, there are irritating ingredients like these luxury fragrances, and while it could still be a decent product, it's often not worth the money when you compare it to other brands that are available that arguably have more time and knowledge and care invested into the ingredients and into how the product works versus investing the time and money into just the branding and the packaging with a pretty designer label on it, or again, that designer fragrance smell. And luxury brands don't want you to know that they know all of this. There have been psychology studies done that show that we buy what we want to be. Is there a reason people like BMW versus Mercedes or Chanel versus Louis Vuitton? It's because we buy what we want to be. And the way we present ourselves to others is what we think they are going to hopefully perceive of us. That gives us, again, access to a community, opportunities within that community, or care and admiration from that community member. And there's a reason that so many people lock on to specific brands. I do it too. I'm sure you do. Do you have a favorite brand, a favorite thing? There is something about that that just feels so close to home. And you just take whatever that logo, whatever that thing is, even slap it on a random piece of paper, and all of a sudden that piece of paper becomes more valuable to you or me because we identify and we see a piece of ourselves in it. The way someone sees themselves in the history of the way a luxury car was created, or the craftsmanship of the way a designer creates certain bags or shoes, or even wanting to see ourselves in the beautiful advertisements of those makeup and cosmetic magazines that are selling the latest lipstick, the overpriced compact, or that skincare product from this luxury brand name that costs hundreds of dollars, and more likely than not, won't do hundreds of dollars of benefit for our skin, yet we still want it. And we'll tell ourselves that yes, it's to put it on our face, or yes, it's because of the luxury prestige of the brand, but often it's just to put on our shelves, to look at it, to feel like we belong to something, or sometimes to show it off to others, to try to show that we have a status symbol that makes us worthy of being in a room, in a space, of obtaining a certain mate, or speaking to a specific person, to be with the in crowd. And the issue is that luxury brands, luxury cosmetic companies know all of this. They also see the globalization, they see the ways that they can cut corners without people minding, and they see how you and I have an increased access to credit. Credit cards are everywhere now, and it's so easy to just place something on a tab or buy now and pay later. And for certain categories like food or basic needs, travel points, or to gain credit card points for travel, yes, some of those tools can be very handy. But when luxury brands use this knowledge along with our psychology to manipulate us to spend and buy and try the things that they manufacture without actually keeping up the prestige that their luxury brand was built on, you bet I have a problem with it. And you bet that these brands don't want you to know some of these secrets. I'd actually love to know, which luxury brands do you think are some of the worst offenders? And which luxury brands do you believe are actually luxury? Because there are some actual luxury brands out there. And for those who have the money and the capital and the interest, yes, those things can be a very good purchase. But unfortunately, many of them are just these flashy displays of not even wealth, but of credit. And that's why it's important for us to have these kinds of discussions. So when you are presented something that's flashy and has that Louis Vuitton logo or that Chanel logo and that limited edition mark that never goes on sale, you can see past all of that and decide, is this actually something that's going to enhance my life, that I'm going to enjoy, that's going to make my skin or my beauty routine so much better? Or is it just another purse or perfume or lipstick that's going to sit on a shelf? Please leave your thoughts in the comments on this, because I understand a lot of people don't like to hear it. It hurts. The truth hurts, right? But if you know it, you can at least make an informed decision as to what you do want to spend your money on. And if you do want to invest in something luxury, you can actually put your money towards things that you identify with, that make you happy, as opposed to the brand that has the largest logo that you see sprawled across some influencer's Instagram account or some celebrity's countertop in their next Vogue Get Ready With Me video. Remember to be a critic and a skeptic. That's what I teach you here. So if you're not subscribed, feel free to do so. But most importantly, remember to question what you see and hear, including me. Leave what your thoughts are or your questions are in the comments, see what other people are saying, and do stay hydrated. Reapply that SPF and always be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, and you are not worth what you have. You are worthy because of who you are. I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.